Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got the Q, but I've got I and N to go with it, so I have chi and chin on my rack. And I've also got an A, so I could have cat or cade or caddy if my opponent plays a T or a D. He doesn't, and he provides nowhere for chin or chi either, which is pretty annoying. So is there any way to get rid of the Q? I don't think there is. So do I keep the Q or change? Certainly if I changed QI, grain is a pretty strong 5-letter set. But what's the best I can do if I don't change? I don't have a double-double, so I guess I could play something like wearing. 18 points, keeping the Q. I'm going to change. Change the Q and the I. Okay, that looks close to a bingo. From an S, I would have Signoria. Onto an L, I would have Original, and I have an L in Weblog. Do I have anything with the others? I think Aborigin is good, so I have that with the B. Can't see anything with the W. Now, what about the G? Well, can't see anything with the G. Great, my B and L remain available. Just 22 points for my opponent. Has he provided anything with the N? I don't think so. Now, Original places the O right next to this triple word square, which isn't so good. So I think Aborigin is better. This may come off. It may just be Aborigin. But if it comes off, we're playing Void, and I can play Original. Well, it is good. Wow, look at this pickup. 3 U's and a V. I could well be changing again. Is there any way to play through this? And I would need to play off, I think, 3 out of U, U, U and V. And I can't see a way of doing that. Plays like uvula. Play off U, U and V, but I don't have the tiles or the tiles on the board to make that move. And if I do change, I will keep C, E, T because they're all bingo-y tiles. I think Aborigin takes an S at the end. And I guess it could take an E as well. Wow, nice bingo for my opponent. Does that change my decision to change? I note that I have uncut through the N of Aborigin. Only 7 points, and I'm retaining UV, so I don't like that. I have cut up for 18 in column 11. That's probably worth playing. Cut up for 18. I think EUV is... Well, I need to compare cut up with an EUV leave with changing, keeping ECT. So this is 18. This rack leave must be worth about -8 or 9, I would think. So that would be a positive of about 9, and if I changed, I would be scoring 0, and ECT would be worth maybe 5 or 6. This slightly edges it. Now, do I have anything through the D, or what's the best I've got through the D? I've got Q'd for 21, 3 more points, but that's keeping an extra U. Well, I'm not seeing anything, so I think I will go with cut up. Well, this doesn't look great, but I may be able to play Vogue or Vooge. And as it stands, I've got Vogued in column 15. Opponent's just gone there. So looking at the scores, I'm a bingo behind. I think Aborigine takes an E, so I could play Vogue. The downside of that is that it doesn't get tripled. However, it sorts the rack out. Slightly hesitant because it's closing the board down, but I think if I leave this open, my opponent's got a good chance of having the E and scoring a lot more points than this. So, Vogue for 23. I'm 60 points behind. I have the J. No huge J spots on this board. Through an E, I would have Jollied. E of Weblog doesn't work. So I'm not seeing anywhere great for the J. I'd also like to split up the duplicate L if possible. So I have Judo in row F, keeping CILL, 28 points. Can't see anything in column 14. 33 points for my opponent. That's pretty good. Do I have anything down from the O? I don't. So I think it is going to be Judo. I can't see a better play. Can't see anywhere to play Joel. I have Jin, keeping the D back for the hook. But I think there are too many consonants in the rack leave. So, Judo for 28 points. Not great, just the one vowel. And I don't think there are any 8s with these letters. There is the floating I's in Aborigine and Impavid, and the floating A of Impavid. However, I have the H as a scoring tile. I'm 60 points behind, so I'm still within reach of my opponent. My takes a C. I've got one, so I could play Chill. That would score quite well and sort the rack out. Still one blank to come. What else do I have? I could try and play through N and I with a view to opening up the left-hand side of the board. Judo has taken out the C as a floater. But there still are bingo lanes on this board, and there are still 42 tiles to come, so I don't have to sacrifice a huge number of points to create new openings right away. Just wondering if I have something in column 13, placing a higher scoring tile underneath this O, and I don't think I do. So at the moment, Chill is my play, and I'll be keeping back the S for possibly pluralizing Chill next go, if I can score enough in column 15, and that would create new floaters for a bingo. I'm just wondering about extensions to Vogue. Well, there is one, 33 points. I don't think that changes anything from my perspective, so Chill for 30. Great, that's a nice looking rack. I may not have a bingo, but I've got the the X, which is a good scoring tile. Now, do I have something beginning with S, 5 letters, which uses the X? Not that I can see. And there are no obvious spots for the X. I've got Axel in column 7, which would score quite well and leave a decent rack leave, DEST. The only negative to that move is that it's not creating any new bingo lanes. I trail by 80, or 60 rather. Now, is there really no 7 or 8 with this rack? It looks quite promising. The only non-bingo-y tile is the X, but I've got the EX beginning. Well, I'm not seeing any bingos at all. What about a play in column 14 with IXL in the middle? Not seeing anything there. I could play Axed or Axe in column 14. Axe takes an S, I've got one, but there are still 2 S's and a blank to come, so that would be quite risky. Opponent changes, fantastic. So, Axel for 40, good score, decent rack leave. And that's a good pickup. So, is there a 7? Is there an 8? Well, I'm not seeing a 7. This is really high probability. So what are the floaters? Well, there's the I of Aborigine, and that may be it. Although there is column 5 onto the E of Weblog. And there's the N of Aborigine. So this rack plus an I. Wow, great bingo by my opponent. 70 points for him. And he's blocked the floating I. The G isn't available as a floater. The V isn't a useful one. So what about column 5 ending with an E? Oersteds is a bingo using the E, but that doesn't work. And Dosseret is its anagram. That doesn't work. Okay, so I need to create an opening on this board. I note that column 8 is quite hot for a 6-letter play. So I could play Strode in that spot to create 4 new floaters. 26 points. Wrecking the rack. Can I do better? I'm wondering about playing in column 14. Still 1 S and a blank out there. The trouble with playing anything in column 3 is that it's not going to score very much, and it may not be too difficult for my opponent to block whatever I create. Remaining tiles quite bingo-y, so maybe I should play Strode. I am keeping the S, or an S. What about a play onto the F? I can't see one. What about just playing Dost and Eateries, leaving a decent rack leave of rest? 29 points. And that would stop my opponent scoring in this spot by playing underneath eatery. Quite tempting. It's not opening a new lane, but there is a lane in column 5 for bingos ending in E, which is slightly disguised. And this rack leave is better than a rack leave of just S, so I'm going with this. And I draw E's, which is bad, but it means my opponent doesn't have access to them. So can I create something? Well, what I could do is play Re here, and this is slightly awkward for my opponent because if he plays in row B, he'll be opening row A, and if he plays in row C, he's likely to be opening row B, so I think this is quite an awkward move for my opponent to deal with. Only 10 points, but it leaves a good rack leave. Well, a ton of bingos here, 7s. Searest and tree, and receipts and tree. Do I have an alternative bingo through the V? Not that I can see. What about a play onto the E? Well, I think it's tesserae. Does tesserae have an anagram? Tesserae doesn't work because AAX not good. If I hadn't played that, it would have worked because AA is good. I've got a feeling that tesserae does have an anagram. What about esterase? And if esterase is good, it goes. Let me just check that. Fantastic. So I think I've got an unblockable bingo. Yes, I do. Fantastic. And I'm only 70 points behind, so this game should hopefully be a little bit closer than it is at the moment. 16 tiles in the bag. Still a blank out there, still a Z out there, and a Q. Now column 8 available for bingos, ending something EO. Well, that's not very likely. Now, have I ruled out the V? I think I have, but maybe unfairly. Now, look at this. 24 points for my opponent. He's opened up row A. And do I have something which plays there? So, this ton of anagrams that I mentioned, what are they? Well, tessera is one of them, and that works, making am. But is there a bigger overlap? So, Easters, Saetas, Cetas, Searest, Receipts, Teasers, Tessera. I think it's only Tessera which works. And that's 75 points. Not great. But I'm a lot closer to my opponent now, just 18 points behind him. 5 tiles in the bag. I can't see a 7 or 8 letter bingo with this rack. And I'm going to struggle to get rid of all of the non-bingo-y tiles. I'm looking around for spots for my F and W. I've got FAW above eateries. Keeping route. It might be quite useful hanging on to the U because of the Q. But in any event, I'm going to struggle to play off F, W and U. And I've also got I've got WOF and F at the top. Wow, 51 points for my opponent, and only 2 tiles in the bag. So, what do I play? If I play OV, I'm keeping ARTUW. There won't be a bingo with that rack. If I play WOF, then I'll only have 6 tiles. Is it time to abandon hope of winning this game? I think it is. What if I were able to play off W and U somewhere? Could I bingo with After? Possibly, but I can't see somewhere to play W and U. So I think I will look to minimize my losing spread by playing WOF for 32. And I pick up an E. But I only have 6 tiles, so I'm not going to be bingoing. Can I go out? AM takes an E. So do I have any 6-letter plays with this rack? I don't think so. And are there any floaters? Possibly the R of Dree. Now what about the V? I would have Volta, but that doesn't work. Does Volta have an anagram? I don't think so. What about the E of Weblog? That's not available. Okay, so I don't think I can go out in 1 with this rack. I can see what my opponent's got, and he's got the Q, but he's also got the blank. But he may struggle to go out in 2, so I may have 2 goes. I've only got 1 point tiles, so I'm going to struggle to score. I have NUR in column 13 for 16 points, which would leave late. That plays in row C. Does it play somewhere else as well? Well, it does. It plays in column 8 and row C further along, so that's a possible sequence of moves for me. What about a play underneath eateries? I have Arete. $18 points, keeping LU, and then I would have Love. What about a play which puts something in front of Axe? So I could play Chul, 18 points, keeping EAR. Now my opponent's played just the Q. Does he have an out with this rack, and can I block it? I don't think he does, so I think I do have 2 goes. And I think I'll go back to my first choice because I know that works, and I haven't seen anything better. So Ner for 16. There probably is a better out sequence, but none of my out sequences are winning. Six minutes on my opponent's clock, 8 on mine. So what's the best I can do? I think tail at the beginning of row C for 13. What about tail and F? 12, that's not so good. And it's even worse making AME. And worse again making AE. So my best spot is at the beginning of row C. And I'm not seeing anything else around the board. And I can't see anything to put my L or T in front of axe. Well, of course I can, because I have elate for 20. So I think that's going to be my play, unless I find something better. Opponent's got quite a chunky rack. And the board isn't particularly full of opportunities for high-scoring tiles. And none of his high-scoring tiles go in front of axe. Some nice bingos from my opponent with Eatery and Impavid. I'm still scanning the board for better spots for me to go out, but I've seen nothing better than elate. And opponent plays Abhor for 25, taking my elate spot. Has he provided a new spot for me? Well, I have alate in column 1, 18 points. What about a play underneath Abhor? Well, I have leet for 34 points. Wow, that's pretty good. And I think I will go with that. And the final score, 410 to me, 434 to my opponent, a winning margin of 24 points. So well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go first, and Weblog was a great spot. This was my rack. Wow, kneecap. That certainly would have been better than changing. I missed that. And all the remaining words keep the cue. Opponent plays Wenny. And now I have Ab Origin for 65. Opponent has Impavid, which was a great spot. And I played Cut Up for 18, keeping EUV. And the higher scoring plays have significantly worse rack leaves, all of them with an extra U. So I still like my play. Opponent's rack, he plays Fantad, which was nice. And now I play Vogue for 23, but look at this, 36 available at 05. Because of Aborigine, Vago for 36. I think that would have been a better play, even though the rack leaves worse, because the score is so much more. Opponent plays Oni, and I play Judo, and I could have played Juco. Not very much between those. What about Judd? Well, I think I prefer playing off the O. Opponent's rack, and he has Nighteries. Doesn't spot it, plays Vogers, or chooses not to play it, plays Vogers. My rack, and I played Chill, but I could have played Child, which would have been slightly better. Wow, horrible rack for my opponent. He changes. And wow, there was an X play, pluralizing Chill, Sext. What do? I play Axel for 40, 13 fewer points but retaining the S, so not much between those. And opponent has Eatery, which was a good spot. Now, very bingo-y rack. No bingo. I play Dost, and I still think that's okay. Opponent plays Vin. And I'm in a tricky spot here. I'm 80 points behind. I've got single point tiles on my rack, and I'm looking to open the board up, so I know I'm not going to be able to score very much. So I still like my play. Opponent plays Mind, and that gives me Tessera, but Steer's available. Okay, in row A for a few more points, 6 more points. Probably the only anagram I didn't mention, the one which would have been the one to play. Wow, close to Pirozhki. My opponent plays Zip, and at this point my goose is cooked. I'm 70 points behind. There are 2 in the bag, and I can't see a way of playing off 2 tiles, which gives me any bingo prospects. So I play Worf. Opponent plays Chi. No out here. A5, Tolerate. Wow, that's pretty nice. 26 points. I play Ner. Opponent plays Abhor. And I have Leet for 34 to end the game. So, final scores, just 24 points, but I think the game was a bit closer than that. I suspect my opponent played slightly suboptimally with his final move, allowing me to score so well with Leet. But well done again to my opponent for some good play and some good bingos. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.